My name is Cedric Maforimbo. I'm from Zimbabwe, and I just want to tell you a story. So it was a summery Southern African day when I embarked on a conservation education trip into the Matogo Hills of Zimbabwe, which some of you know. And as I drove in a 1997 Land Rover Defender through the national park, I looked out my window and I saw a vast expanse of a beautiful plant. Green it was, with yellow, red, pink, and orange flowers. And as I continued through the national park, through the rolling hills, the balancing rocks, and transitioned into the communal lands, my awe of this plant turned into worry. Because in some of the places where I expected to see grazing lands and cropping lands, I continued to see this plant. After I disembarked from my vehicle and spoke to some of the locals, I discovered the true colors of this plant. Not the beautiful colors I've been telling you about, but the true colors of a plant that proliferates furiously through grazing lands, cropping lands, taking up a lot of space, plunging these communities into hunger, reducing their food production, and the true colors of a plant that produces chemicals that inhibit the growth of other plants around it, be they wild plants, be they crops, disturbing the balance of nature because it's all an ecosystem, isn't it? I also discovered that this plant is growing furiously throughout the country of Zimbabwe and in a lot of African countries as well, and throughout the world, and has plunged some of the districts, even in Zimbabwe, to poverty that is close to even in excess of 90%. This plant has also contributed, among many other things, to the loss that Zimbabwe suffered of its title as the breadbasket of Africa, to becoming, unfortunately, the basket case of Africa. This plant is called Lantana camara, and please note it's not the plant in front of you. But I was very touched and I was determined to find a solution. A few years later, I got into Oxford and I came to study biodiversity conservation, and I was fortunate enough to be a Dreyfus-Weidenfeld and Hoffmann scholar. And this scholarship comes with a leadership program under which there is what is called the Business Challenge. And within this, I grabbed the opportunity with both hands and established what is called the Weeds to Pesticide project. In this project, I, with a couple of alumni, worked towards fostering the community-based conversion of Lantana camara into an organic, environmentally friendly pesticide. So this will do several things. This will increase the food that these communities are able to access because it will free up grazing lands and cropping lands. It will bring an income to the communities, alleviating their poverty. It will save the environment from synthetic pesticides, which have caused a lot of harm because it's an organic pesticide, and will also bring back just the balance of nature because it's an invasive plant. You might all be well aware, or most of you might be aware, that in 2017, the long-time leader of Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe, was overthrown, and there was the rise of Emmerson Mnangagwa as the leader of Zimbabwe. We all waited with much hope. We had a lot of hope that there was going to be positive change, but we haven't seen that hope as yet. Perhaps this is a sign that a lot of the answers to the challenges that we face in Zimbabwe and on the African continent and in developing countries don't only lie in the political leaders that we have in position, but perhaps lie in the grassroots, practical level projects such as mine, which we would need to implement. And so we are not sitting back and waiting for our leaders to righten themselves, but we are taking the bull by the horns, going forward and effecting positive change for ourselves. Thank you.